Grand Rising. Let's have a little occult chat. Something is going on with my volume. The output of the volume, I don't know what's going on with it. I tried to adjust it. So forgive me if the sound is not high. Turn your volume up so you can hear me speak loud and clear. But for some reason on my end, it seems like the volume is not it's not out the output is not as clear and loud as I would like it to be. I don't know what it is. I might have to take this shit up to one of those stores like Staples or something like that in order to get it looked at. But anyway, I like to make my videos on the early morning when people are quiet, when I'm alone, because my man, he's not here. He works at night. And when he's here, I can't really talk the way that I want to because he's up under me and I just don't want to do that. But there's some things I want to talk about. Just some things because I have some concerns, I have some questions about some things that just don't seem right. The first thing I wanted to reference is that truthfully, turn on a little music that kind of helps to get me in that zone. Um, I think that not poverty, let me be clear, because sometimes people think that poverty and a more simplistic life go hand in hand. No, I think that the simple things in life and the simplistic things in life brings great gratification. I think that those things are really the true abundance and prosperity that we seek. I think simplicity and just a simplistic life, for me, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but for me, and what that means for me is having enough money, having enough food, having people around me, not as a not as a crutch where you have to use people as a crutch or a tool to recharge, but just as, a support system. It's nothing wrong with having a support system if that is what they truly are. Because some of us have toxic people around us who pretend to be support systems, but in actuality, in the dark, they're not your support system. They're trying to put you on life support so they can drain you. So I just think that the simple things in life, for some of us, it brings us really great joy. And again, the simple things in life do not correlate with poverty. It does not. I'm not talking about not having enough. I'm talking about appreciating what you have and expanding from that middle point. If you understand what I'm saying, simplicity is gratifying, you know, because with simplicity, you're balanced in a way. So I wanted to start off saying that, I start off nice and easy, like Tina Turner rolling on the river. I get a little rough down the line. You all should know me by now. And let me say this too, it's never personal. What I'm talking about, it's never personal. And I'm never talking to the people that watch me. Now, if something I say, if it offends you or if it touches you, that's not my problem. That's yours. There are people that say shit that offend me all the time here on YouTube, but because I don't have enough interest in them or their views, I don't really care nothing about it. Because most of the people that say shit that's offensive, they don't have any power anyway. So I really don't care about that. But there are some things I do want to speak on because I'm seeing a trend and I'm seeing a pattern that is not really being examined. Okay. Here's what I really wanted to talk about. I want to talk about a multitude of things. like I always do, because I'm the occult view. You know, every time I go onto Yahoo, their homepage, and I read their stories, Yahoo is a very negative dimension. That is a very negative beast. That is a very negative world. The Yahoo message boards and the Yahoo home pages, very negative. Even, a lot of these different message boards, even AOL, a lot of them are negative. But Yahoo is very negative. They promote fear, they promote panic, they promote chaos, and they facilitate very low thinking, very low vibrating people for the most part. They should have left after George Floyd was murdered. They should have left. They turned off the comments after that, and they should have kept it that way. They turned off the comments because they were trying to revamp and they were actually trying to censor people and what you could say. You get what I'm saying? But they should have just left the comments turned off because the people that are commenting, all they do is promote fear and chaos and propaganda and lies and misinformation. And this is what I'm talking about. Or they're not taking into account the multiple dynamics that may be at play in certain situations. This is what I'm talking about. Every time I go to the Yahoo message boards, and let me say this as a disclaimer, I don't give a fuck whether you get the jab or not. This is not about that. And I've touched on this before. But it seems like every time I go to a Yahoo message board, when someone passes away that is well known or not well known, the first thing that you see from one of these idiots in the Yahoo in the comments, did they get the vaccine? I am so fucking tired of hearing about COVID, and I am tired of hearing about the fucking vaccine. It's an obsession now with people, which is why I try to not talk about it too much because I don't want to become part of that dimension, that cesspool of negativity and fear and oppression. We are 3 years out of that so-called pandemic now, and people are still talking about the vaccine, get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine. I'm sick of it. But here's the thing. Let me put my personal feelings aside for a moment. Here's the thing. Every time someone dies, did they get the vaccine? The vaccine probably killed them. And I am not a pro-vaccine person. Let me say that, for the audience so people will know that. I'm not a pro-vaccine person. Not. But when I look at these people in their comments, and they keep making a correlation between people dying and dropping dead. And they keep saying, oh, I bet they took the vaccine. Well, first of all, how do you know they even got vaccinated? If you did not know these people, how do you know they got vaccinated? I'm getting ready to tell you all something that's very interesting. I know many people who were vaccinated and they're doing fine. They're not dropping dead. They're not sick. And I'm not a pro-vac. I'm not into vaccines. I'm not. If I can help it, I'm not. So I get it. And this is not about being pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine. This is about being pro-choice and what you want to do with your fucking body. And you have the anti so-called vaxxers that are harassing people who decided to get the vaccine, and then you have the people who did get it harassing the people who decided not to. And all of that bullshit is a mind trick, it's a Jedi mind trick, and it's a distraction. That's my point. I don't give a fuck about vaccines, but what I do give a fuck about is having the choice to do what I want to do. So every time you go into these Yahoo message boards or any of them, if a person dies, Kirstie Alley died, I wondered did she get the vaccine? Irene Cara died, I wondered did she get the vaccine? That guy Twitch from the Ellen DeGeneres show, he committed suicide. Did he take the vaccine too? See, all of these are Jedi mind tricks. See, that whole COVID thing was a Jedi mind trick, in my opinion. And it played its part as a distraction for something else that's taking place that nobody's not paying attention to. People keep making the correlation or making the point that, well, a lot of the people that are dropping dead are young people who are healthy. But has anyone ever considered this? Unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately, the younger people of today are involved in a lot of drug activity now. Have we forgotten that there's a fentanyl crisis that's going on in our community nationally with younger people? People are smoking hookahs, they are doing fentanyl, they are smoking what they're vaping. And you know that when you vape, you are inhaling toxic metals into your lungs. Your lungs and your heart go hand in hand. So while all of these hysterics are over here blaming the vaccine, which I'm not saying there's not, I'm not saying that it cannot be a correlation between that and people dying. I'm not denying that. But there are multiple dynamics that people are not paying attention to. They're only focused on the vaccine. And what I'm saying is maybe that's the plan all along to make you focus on that. What if the vaccine, what if that shit ain't nothing but sugar water any goddamn way? What if that ain't nothing but sugar water? Allegedly. There are things that I know that are taking place that I can't even speak about on YouTube. There's a drug that they have out now that I can't even tell you what it is. That they're calling a breakthrough. They've been saying it for years. That it's a breakthrough it has an anti-aging agent that's in it. I can't talk about that. There are certain things people need to be responsible when you put out certain information. And I've talked about this throughout the years because people like to promote fear and they like to promote, you know, fear mongering and all of this, the depression and all of this stuff. They like to promote that. Telling people, oh, you're going to die if you got the vaccine, or you're going to die if you don't get the vaccine. Just stop with that. But you're not going to die from smoking hookahs. You're not going to die from inhaling toxic metals from vaping. You're not going to die from that. You're not going to die from being a drunk or a drug addict. You're not going to die from that, right? They just legalized marijuana in Maryland. They already did it here in DC. Well, DC and Maryland go hand in hand depending upon what part of DC that you live in. They just legalized marijuana in Maryland. And there is an agenda attached to that because the marijuana that they have now, the marijuana that they have now, it's not the same marijuana that people used to smoke back in the day. and older people will even contest to that. And I'm not judging anybody who likes to smoke marijuana. I'm just making a point. I don't give a fuck what you do. But that's going to open up the gateway, as I mentioned before, for them to legalize other drugs. Pretty soon, fentanyl will be legalized. People are mixing fentanyl with PCP and other drugs as well. So, all of these people who keep trying to say it's the vaccine that's causing people to die, what if that is the distraction that they want you to pay attention to because they're really killing you over here? You're really voluntarily killing yourself, which is why they really did not push too much to make vaccines mandatory because they said, okay, we can get them to kill themselves voluntarily by smoking our chemical based marijuana. Marijuana, when I used to smoke when I was a teenager back in the early or mid 90s, rather, when I used to smoke marijuana back then, marijuana, you could buy it in like a little plastic clear bag. It almost looked like a little Ziploc bag, but it was small. Depending on, because I didn't have no money back then, so I would always get a. People know who are, Generation Xers. I would get a nickel bag or a dime bag or something like that. They would come in like a small miniature Ziploc bag. Now, these dispensaries are selling marijuana, and you don't know. I'm not saying that they do, but you don't know what type of chemicals they might be putting on them. And now that the government has their hand in it, you don't know what the fuck is really going on. And I guarantee you, most of those people under those Yahoo message boards talking about the vaccines, they're doing all types of fucking drugs. But nobody's taking into account that a lot of the younger people now, they're doing fentanyl, they're doing marijuana, they're smoking PCP, they're inhaling, they're doing they're vaping, and people are not taking that into consideration that that could be causing people to fucking drop dead. It's your leisure lifestyles that's causing people to drop dead, trying all this new fucking shit. People are not taking that into consideration. And that is why I'm saying that there is more dynamics at play than just some vaccine or being unvaccinated. It's more at play. And see, I don't have a one track mind. But you have hysterics that are trying to cause panic, pandemonium, fear by telling people, oh, if you got the vaccine, you're going to die. Or if you didn't get the vaccine, you're going to die. You're going to die eventually anyway. We all are. Just like when I go onto some social media websites and you see mostly black men saying this bullshit. Maybe black women too, but I mainly see black men saying this bullshit. Life is so short. Time waits for no one. You only live once. Why do you have to keep saying all that depressing ass bullshit? We already know that life is short. We already know that time waits for no one. Whether we live once or not, that's up for debate. You niggas don't really motherfucking know that. Nobody really knows that for certain. Now I can say I know it, but that we live more than once, but that's left up to speculation. And I'm not doing that right now. What I'm doing is I'm uncovering the agendas behind these agents on these message boards to promote fear and confusion and oppression within your spirit. And if you're not spiritually protected and if you're not spiritually grounded, you will end up just like maybe a DJ Twitch, which I find his so-called offing of himself, I find that very, very suspicious. Look at who he's married to. So when it comes to all of this bullshit, I think it's a multitude of things why people are, especially they're saying younger people are dropping dead just out of nowhere. But what are they doing? Now, I'm not saying all of them are doing anything to harm themselves. Some things just happen. Sometimes people just die. There is no reason sometimes. Sometimes people just die, you know? But when you are a young person that's healthy and then you drop dead, that makes people ask questions as they should. But everything is not connected to a vaccine or being unvaccinated. Everything is not connected to COVID and being vaccinated against it. A lot of these younger people now are using a lot of drugs, and we really don't know what they're doing to this marijuana now that a lot of people are smoking. We really don't know what they're doing to it. We really don't know. And I don't give a fuck who gets offended by what I'm saying. We really don't know. We really, just like we don't really know what they're doing to the food in the fucking grocery stores. How do we know they're not putting drugs in the fucking food? How do we know that? I mean, I'm just asking questions because I heard Eva Marcel on Watch What Happens Live the other day. She was on there with who was she on there with? She was on there with Karen Huger from the Real Housewives of Potomac. And Karen, I got something to say about her. On a side note, Karen Huger. Now I like Karen. Let me just say this on the side note. I like Karen Huger. But Karen, what type of fake fraudulent shit are you on? You say that you don't eat chicken. I don't ever see you eating anything. Are you a human? Or are you a robot now? Are you AI Antichrist now? Because I don't see you eating anything. You say that you went to a nutritionist or a dietitian or somebody or an allergist or whatever you call them, an allergy doctor, whatever. And he or she told you that you're allergic to chicken, which you call the dirty bird. Okay, that can happen. But then I see you at not Monique's, at Chris and Candace's cookout. I see you eating ribs. But you're allergic to chicken, but you ain't allergic to the pig. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with eating pork, but I'm just saying you're allergic to chicken, but you eat ribs? And really, I didn't even see you eat that. I saw you take a piece of it. But you do that, but you don't eat chicken. I just found that interesting. But anyway, what type of games are you on, Karen Chow? But anyway, well, she's a Taurus. They can be very motherfucking tricky. They're chameleons, and Tauruses, they can be chameleons. They're very tricky. Although she reminds me more of a Leo or a Sagittarius, if you ask me. Some people say she's a Virgo, but to me, she reminds me more of a Leo or a Sagittarius. But that's another story. But anyway, she and Eva Marcel were on Watch What Happens Live. And Eva Marcel was sitting up there high. Here we go again, promoting drug addiction. She was up there high. Andy said, "Are you high?" "Yes, I am." I mean, how can you be high all the time? And then the people that you call friends, they're not really your friends because she said that she smokes with some people or whatever, but they're not really your friends. They're just your drug partners. Your drinking partners. There is no friendship there because if drugs and drinking are not involved, then most of the time those people don't have anything in common, which is why I don't have a lot in common with other Negroes because all they want to do is get high all the fucking time. And let me be clear, when I say drink, I am not talking about having a nice glass of wine. I ain't talking about that. It's nothing wrong with having a glass of red wine or grape wine. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a beer every now and then or a wine cooler. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about people who indulge in a way that causes issues for other people around them, like crackheads and drunks. She's sitting up there talking about, "I'm high," and then she said, "I have a sorbet that has THC in it." So that is why I said How do we know they're not putting this shit and sneaking this shit in the food? Why would you have a sorbet with THC in it, which I believe is some type of chemical that is prevalent in cannabis? It just doesn't make sense. Everything that's connected to black people all the time, it's always connected to being a drug addict, being a pimp, or being someone that is, jeopardizing your own morality for fame. I'm talking about the people in Hollywood. If you were high, you should have just kept that to yourself. And they're creating and promoting and facilitating a culture, especially in the black community, of being high all the time. And when you're high all the fucking time, you can't fucking think or function the way that you're supposed to. You can't. That's why some people I know, they're backing away from the weed. They're backing away from it and they're trying to regain themselves and reground themselves. And I'm not trying to be judgmental. If it's coming off like that, then that's your motherfucking problem because that's not where I'm coming from. I'm looking, what you do in your house is your business. But now they're making it law that marijuana is no longer going to be looked at as a serious crime. I don't have no issue with that. But I have an issue with drug addicts. I have an issue when drug addicts and their issues become our issues. That is my problem. And all they're promoting is drug shit, dispensaries. Now they got all these fucking weed dispensaries and people selling weed. You don't know how they grow that motherfucking shit. People say marijuana come from the ground. Maybe it did. But now they're growing the shit in labs. It's Antichrist AI. And that really explains why niggas act so fucking crazy now. That explains everywhere you go, if you smell weed, they acting crazy. Weed, when I used to smoke, it made me laugh, it made me giggle, we had fun. Now niggas are hostile, they're aggressive, they're violent, they're savage, and I don't give a fuck who gets mad. They're kooky, they're two-faced. You can't say nothing to them. They sucking their teeth, they rolling their eyes. So what the fuck are you niggas really motherfucking smoking? What are you really smoking? And I know a lot of people are not going to like what I'm saying. And again, I don't give a fuck because I'm talking about how this shit is influencing culture. That is an underworld shit that should not be influencing culture. Now I understand people that got to smoke and use marijuana for for medicinal purposes. Maybe it may help their anxiety per se. Maybe it may help them if they have cancer or MS or if they need to, increase their appetite. I get that. I understand that. I'm not judging that. But what I'm saying is when your problems become my problems and when you're promoting shit and putting it out, I don't promote homosexuality. I don't promote that. I'm not up here telling everybody they should be gay. That is my personal sexual orientation. And I keep that to myself. I may reference experiences that I'm having, but I'm not telling everybody they should be gay. If I had children, I would strive for my children to be what they wanted to be. I would really, if I had sons, I wouldn't want them to be gay. I would want them to be heterosexual in this world because I know how hard it is being a black gay man myself. So I really wouldn't want that burden for my son. And I know some people are going to say, well, how could you say that? I said it because I don't go by the LGBT cult. And that has nothing to do with me being a self hating gay person. It's just that I walk to the beat of my own tune and I don't follow cults or fads. The LGBT community has become a cult. It's become a cult. If you don't do what they want you to do, if you don't act the way they want you to act, They will disregard you and treat you like an outcast, like you don't even exist. We're not supposed to have our own ideas. We're not supposed to think for ourselves. And that brings me into my next topic. Last week, I'm surprised, really surprised a lot of people are not talking about this. And this also ties into the drug use and all of that bullshit, in a sense. Last week, they passed a bill in Congress to solidify the Respect Marriage Act or something like that. And under this bill was actually supposed to protect LGBT marriage and interracial marriage. Now I have to say something about this because as a gay person, as a gay person, as a gay person, I'm speaking about my sexual orientation now. No bill they have passed has made my life any easier. No bill they have passed has done anything to really benefit me. So if those bills are not meant to help your average gay person, then what exactly are they meant for? For those people who've been following my message and my occultism for a long time, do you remember when I used to say that the LGBT agenda and the interracial agenda go hand in hand? And let me say this as a disclaimer because I don't want, I don't care about offending people, but I don't know who watches me. And I don't want to offend anyone who's in an interracial marriage or relationship. This is not about attacking interracial marriages or relationships. So just bear with me and you will understand what I'm saying. First of all, why not just take the interracial part out of it? Why do they keep putting interracial under a scope of black and white? See, that lets you know that there's an agenda and that they're using interracial couples and marriages as an agenda. You understand what I'm saying? If people fall in love of different races, that is fine and well with me. There's nothing wrong with that. People are people. People are going to love who they want to love. But for the government to now be getting involved in providing protection rights for interracial marriages and gay marriages, but what about everybody else? See, when I was coming up, gay people, we had civil unions. So if we had a civil union between each other or betwixt each other, I'm being ignorant, but you know what I'm saying. Betwixt each other or between each other, that just simply solidified our love on a personal level. I don't need the church or the institution cult mentality of the church to solidify my love for my man or my partner. I don't need that. I am not trying to follow the same doctrine as my heterosexual brothers and sisters, because in all actuality, as gay people, the church is supposed to be the antithesis of everything that we represent, and vice versa. I don't want to be where I am not wanted. And no matter how many laws they pass, the church is still going to look at gay people a certain way. And that's their motherfucking right. I don't want to be in that motherfucking energy. But why would the government only pass a law to protect gay marriage and interracial marriage? Didn't I tell you all that the interracial agenda and the gay agenda were intertwined? And when I say the interracial agenda, I'm talking about using people who happen to be married to people who are of another ethnicity, using their unions and using their love to promote agendas, to promote certain things, when most of those people ain't thinking about no motherfucking laws. They only care about the person that they fucking love. And I'm not promoting no interracial stuff. I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm doing. But I'm pointing out how they use everything for an agenda. What about the rights for black women? How about that? How about the Black Woman Protection Act? How about that first? Or how about the Black Child Protection Act against racism, against abuse? But that's right, a lot of those government officials are tied to pedophilia and black child trafficking, especially in Philadelphia. But you ain't heard that from me, child. How about that? They did not revise the protections for civil rights for black people. They didn't do that. After what happened to that woman, that young woman, Shaquella Robinson, they should pass a law about that, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that. But they're passing laws to protect gay marriage and interracial marriage. I'm just asking people to look at it from a spirited, occult point of view. This has nothing to do with being an individual gay person because these laws don't really help us on an individual average basis. And they're not designed to. They're designed to help the people who are on the so called upper echelon of society. That's what it's designed for. It's not designed to help us. Now, my partner, he lives with me. Well, we live together, me and my partner. He gets on my damn nerves sometimes, but I still love him. But we live together. You know, I put him on my lease. Went to the management office and I told them he was my partner. It was no problem. I said, "This is my partner, and I want him to move in with me." They said no problem. And that was that. You know, but why would they put gay marriage and why would why gay marriage and interracial marriage? And for the people who are not in interracial relationships, and for the people that are, and I'm talking about heterosexual people for a moment, I have a question for you all. Are you, and this is just a rhetorical question, are you paying attention to this? Because basically what they're saying is that they take precedence. I'm sorry, interracial, put the gay apart, put the gay to the side for a minute. But the interracial part is what really gets me. Gay marriage, I always knew they were going to do that with gay marriage. We saw the writing on the wall for that. But the interracial marriage part, that is the part because heterosexuals, you all are the majority. And I know that there are a lot of heterosexual people that watch me. You all are the majority. And most people that are married are still marrying people of their own ethnicity. So they submitted a bill to Congress, the Respect Marriage Act, and they only added gay marriage and interracial marriage. And my question is people that are, and I'm not talking to none of you bigoted motherfuckers, I ain't talking to none of you. Fuck you. But the people that have an open mind, are you not paying attention to this? They are putting interracial marriages over everyone else's marriage. And I guess you can say gay marriages as well. And that wouldn't be a problem if it was an even playing field. It's not an even playing field, though, because these are agenda based moves. These are agenda based moves. They are not based in equality and justice and fairness. And I can see that. So why does interracial, and I'm only going to speak for the heterosexual people in this one, why does interracial love matter more than non-interracial love is my question. I know I went all the way around the world with it, but that's my question. Why does their marriages matter more than other people's marriages. Now I get that people were worried up about some law they were trying to undo. Well, they were trying to say that Clarence Thomas and the rest of those people up there on that Supreme Court bench were trying to, by them undoing the abortion stuff, that they were also going, that was going to also affect gay marriage and interracial marriage. That is what they were saying. But being gay or being in an interracial marriage is not the only dynamics or aspects of civil rights. Like I said, how come they didn't pass the Protect the Black Woman Act or Protect uh, Black Children Act or revise the civil rights bills to make sure that Black people are not subjugated and subject to all these forms of passive racism and passive aggressive racism? Why didn't they do that? Because there's a bigger agenda behind it. There's a bigger agenda behind this motherfucking bullshit. What it is, I don't know, but there's a beast behind it. There's a reason why they are focused on interracial marriage. And my thing is, why does that take precedence over other people's marriages that are heterosexual? What about white people that love white people? What about Black people that love Black people? Of course. What about Latins that love Latins that are in heterosexual relationships? So you're telling me that their marriages are not as important as interracial marriages? Why are they getting special treatment? And again, this is no disrespect to people that are in interracial relationships and marriages, but what you have to look at, people, is that they're using you and they're using your love and your commitments as an agenda. They're using you. They need to take that interracial shit out of it. If they wanted to say just the act, well, getting my words jumbled up. If they just wanted to protect marriage, they should have just done a bill to protect marriage. But that interracial stuff, that causes issues. Not because people find love with other people of another ethnicity. Again, I'm not promoting that, but I'm looking at it as an occultist and as a spirited person. Again, I want to reiterate that. It's not about finding love with someone else if that's what you want to do. Me personally, I'm not into interracial like that. I like Black men. That's me personally. Even though Black men are some fucked up motherfuckers sometimes, I still like them. Even though they're assholes at times and vicious and malicious, I still like them. But I will fuck them up if I need to. I'm like Damien from the motherfucking Omen. Don't fuck with me. I don't have to touch you to have an effect on you. Like I said, I'm like Damien from the Omen. Think about it. But why this push to only protect interracial marriage? If the institution of marriage is marriage, why is interracial marriage only getting this type of protection? I don't care what they said about the abortion rule or the ban on abortion might affect that. That was all propaganda. That was all propaganda. And see, that's what I'm talking about. When you're high and when you're drugged up and doped up, you don't see this type of motherfucking shit. You don't see the different loopholes and the different dimensions and shit because you're too high living up here on cloud nine. But you don't know that down here that your world is crumbling the fuck apart. And I've been wanting to say that, like, the people that are heterosexual, my heterosexual people who are married to people of the same ethnicity, do you see what they're doing? They're practically saying that your marriages don't fucking matter and your commitments don't fucking matter. We're only protecting these types of marriages. When I think that if they're going to do that, they need to protect all marriages, all of them. If they feel as though that marriage is under attack, they need to protect all marriages. Now I know what people are going to say. Well, the interracial marriages, they're trying to protect them because they were coming under attack from them reversing, what is it, Roe, was it Roe versus Wade? That's what sparked all of this. They reversed Roe versus Wade. I couldn't remember. That's why I didn't mention it earlier, because I really don't follow politics that much, but I follow enough to know what's going on. They reversed Roe versus Wade, and then they took that as an opportunity to solidify and to uplift and put certain marriages over others. You can't tell me that this person's love and marriage matters more than these people. They're not submitting any bills that are really protecting people the way that they should, or protecting the civil rights of people as they should. Because most of the people that are benefiting from this gay marriage act, most of the gay people that are benefiting from that are rich gay white men, rich gay black men. It's not benefiting your average person. Go look at the state dinner that they had a couple of weeks ago. Most of the people that were there were fucking celebrities. That's what this shit is for. It's for that virtual world out in Hollywood, the interracial agenda, the so called gay agenda. Has nothing to do with being a solitary gay person living your life. It has nothing to do with that. And let me say this too, because there's a lot of controversy seemingly among black women and trans people. I'm going to say it that way. Back in the day, if you were a drag queen, you were a drag queen. Because I've dressed up, I dress in, I cross dress. I've done that. And child, I look better as a motherfucking woman than I do a man from what I've been told, child. Okay? And that's just that. And I'm not a woman, but I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, I'm a man who was dressing up as a woman. That's my truth. That's what I am. I have a penis between my legs. So when people say that there's a difference between, well, no, let me say it this way. Back in the day, if you were a drag queen, you were a drag queen. If you were a sissy, you were a sissy. If you were, some people said punk, or some people said fag, whatever. If that's what you were, that's what you were. Okay? It was no hate. But now we have all of these people telling you, oh, that's hateful. No. And then now we have people, certain groups of people, who want to come in and say, well, I'm a woman because I took hormones. But at the end of the day, when people say, well, you all are nothing but men with wigs on and dressed in women's clothing, but isn't that actually true in a sense? Because if you were not born a woman, if I was not born a woman, then I'm just a guy that's dressing up in women's clothing. And I'm just saying, can't that same those same sentiments, why can't that be said for transgender people? Why is that a bad thing to say that I'm just transgender and take the woman part off of it? You see how all of this stuff connects? You see how it all connects? It creates confusion, it creates controversy, because I'm not treating, and no disrespect to my trans sisters or brethren, I'm not treating nobody that has the same thing between my legs as a fucking woman. If you got the same thing between your legs that I got between mine, I'm treating you like I treat other niggas. And I don't give a fuck who that offends. And that's what, and see, because I don't go along with the bullshit. Now if you're in a relationship with a man, your man can treat you like a woman if he wants to. But it's the same concept with these laws that they're passing. Take the interracial off of it, just like with trans women. They need to remove the women part. Because back in the day, we were just transgender. or we were drag queens. And the only definitive difference between a trans person and a drag queen is that a trans person usually lives like a woman 24/7, whereas a drag queen does not all the time. A trans person may take hormones, but ultimately that all falls under the same umbrella. Drag queen, trans, all falls under the same umbrella, but it's different levels in it. Now, if you're a transsexual, that means you actually had the surgery and you had your member, whatever. Okay? But my point is this: why can't people just stay in their own fucking lane? If you're a man that's a drag queen, fine, you do what you do. If you're a dude that turned yourself into a trans person, that's fine. But the problem is that they're trying to include trans people into they're trying to put them in the under the umbrella of being a woman because there are protections there. There are protections there. As a man, as a grown ass motherfucking man, I am not supposed to get the same things that a woman gets. And if you got the same thing between your motherfucking legs that I have between mine, it's the same shit for you. And I don't care what nobody say. This isn't to be hurtful. This isn't to be disrespectful, but it's to look at things the way that I see them. And people can say it's ignorant. I don't give a fuck. Because I grew up in the early 2000s and the late 90s. And I know how it was. And there was no trans, excuse me, there were no trans women. They were transgender. We were drag queens. So in actuality, when people say you're nothing but a man with a wig on, in actuality, isn't there some truth in that? If you weren't born a woman, isn't there some truth in that? But see, you can't say that and be a part of the LGBT cult. You can't say that because if you're part of that LGBT cult, then you have to go by what they want you to go by, which is why we have bills in Congress that are submitted like this that only protect gay and interracial marriage, but it does not protect people on a civil level. It doesn't protect black rights. It doesn't protect black female rights. It doesn't protect black children who are being used and abused and trafficked, and no one's talking about that. It doesn't do any of that. You're grown ass people. If you decide you want to be in an interracial marriage, or if you decide you want to define love outside of your ethnicity, that's your right. Why should we have to give you special treatment? Just as me as a gay person, you don't have to give me no special motherfucking treatment, but you will respect me. It's about respect. Now I understand them reversing Roe versus Wade. The common denominator was that they were going to reverse a lot of other things like gay marriage and stuff like that. But this is nothing more than the Democrats putting black people and other people up under mind control to make them think that we're doing something for you, and they ain't doing shit. They ain't doing shit. Because most of the people that are in interracial marriages, they're struggling like every fucking body else. So what is that really going to do? How about this? Pass the Reparations Act that every black person in this country get a check for $10 million. How about that? And when I say every black person, I'm talking about even the brothers and the sisters from the Caribbean and Haiti and Africa that are living over here. How about that? But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Now, are they? This is not an attack. This is passion. And everybody has a right to say what they want to say. But when you say what you want to say, it's a problem. And I'm not going to be censored and told what I can and cannot say. That's why I don't want to be monetized. I really don't want to be monetized. I don't. Because I can say what I want to say freely. But there are things that are just going on. I'm about to wrap this video up. There are things that are going on that just needs to be said, that needs to be pointed out. Gay people, we are black gay people, we are not weak people. We don't need validation from everyone. We don't need validation from the government. We never used to. Now I understand about discrimination and using just because you think you can harm people because they're gay. I get that. I get that. But this shit has an agenda attached to it. And I think one of the agendas is to continuously cause separation and division of black people and people in general. Because people, no matter how many laws you pass, people are going to always feel a certain way about interracial relationships. It doesn't matter, and that includes black people and white people alike. People are going to always feel that interracial relationships are a problem. Now, I don't feel that way. I think people can love who they want to love. But at the end of the day, I choose to love within my own race. And I should not be penalized and I should not be looked at as a bigot because I choose to love within my race. And that's where this is going. Just like people who are in interracial relationships, they should not be looked at as people doing something that's bad. They should have the right to do that, but they need to take the interracial out of it because that makes it into a fetish. But then again, some of them like being fetishized. They like it. They like the idea of being in an interracial relationship because it's a fetish for some of them. Not all of them, but for some of them, they look at it as a fetish. So it's all in how you really look at it. It's really all in how you look at it. Anyway, I'm done talking. I just had to say that. I just had to say that. I just had to get that, out there off my chest. And I just wish people would think more, and just stop looking at things in a one-dimensional way because there's so many distractions, just like the bullshit with the Roe versus Wade. They caused that distraction so they could pass these bills. So now the way I look at it, they're saying these marriages are the only marriages that really matter. And I told you all years ago that the interracial agenda and the gay agenda go hand in hand. And let me be clear, the gay agenda has nothing to do with your average gay people. Your gay agenda has to do with ritualized gay people within politics, within sports, within the music industry, and within the entertainment industry, which ties into the music industry as well. That is what the gay agenda is all about. And now they're turning it into a transgender agenda as well. And this has nothing to do with your average transgender person who identifies as a woman. This has to do with people who are in the public, like a T.S. Madison, who are well known, who are pushing their own agendas. And I don't give a fuck who gets mad about me saying that. T.S. Madison does not like women. You can tell by how he speaks about women. You can hear the visceral and how he speaks about women. He uses women. He uses you for your money and your energy and your support. Should no biological female be bowing down to a transgender? Should no biological female be bowing down to any man, in my opinion? He uses you for your money. He uses you for your energy. That is what he uses you for. Because in actuality, the real reason he got rid of Kaya, in my opinion, is because Kaya was the one that most people were checking for. When a couple of years ago, when they were still doing the court show thing, the little parody they were doing, um, I was checking for Kaya. I was looking to see what Kaya was doing. And when I saw her sitting up there with T.S. Madison, I said, oh, okay, this could be interesting. And in my mind, my spirit said to me, Seer, this is not going to last long. And lo and behold, the next motherfucking year, they fell out. The next motherfucking year, they fell out. You got to watch them motherfucking. What is T.S. Madison, a fucking Libra? You got to watch them sneaky motherfucking bitches, especially the women or the ones who want to be one. You got to watch them sneaky motherfucking bitches. You got to watch them. You gotta watch them sneaky motherfucking bitches. Them fucking them Libra females. And I'm sorry if you're a Libra, if it don't apply, let it fly. But them Libra females, I can't fuck with them because they're the type that'll make you get a motherfucking charge. They'll make you get a charge. Okay? Not me, but I'm talking about other women. I'm talking about other women. I know one that was born uh, in September. She's an older woman. And that motherfucking woman she is horrible. She's horrible to her own daughter. She wished death on her own daughter and her own granddaughter. She didn't say it with words, and I've talked about her before. She wished that her daughter's business would fail, which ultimately is like wishing death on your daughter and your granddaughter because you don't want her to be able to have the ability to feed herself. So no, you got to watch them motherfucking Libras. They some two-faced, backstabbing ass motherfuckers. You got to watch them and do work on them if fucking necessary. But anyway, this is the occult view. I said what I said. It's not. It ain't personal. We're talking about ritualization and agendas, and the gay agenda has nothing to do with your average gay person living their life. It has to do with the ritualization of being gay. And that is what they do in these industries and institutions. That is the gay agenda. It has nothing to do with your average gay person who ain't fucking with nobody. I don't fuck with nobody. And I don't tell children that they should be gay. Just like they had that drag queen up at a child's school. That was fucking deplorable. You don't do shit like that. You don't do stuff like that. And of course, people would look at me like, what's wrong with you? Don't you agree with it? No, I don't. No, I do not. Now, if you want to have if parents want to have a conversation with their children about homosexuality, that should be left up to the parents, not the fucking school system. And I'm not saying that your children should be bigots. You shouldn't teach your children to be bigots and to hate people. But parents have a right to rear and raise their children the way that they want to. And that is the fucking problem. They're trying to influence children. That's the problem. And you don't do that. And I'm talking about the school system. If there's certain energies that parents don't want their children around, they have a right to say that. Personally, I don't want to be around your kids. I don't want to be around your kids, personally. And I don't say that to be mean or nasty, but I don't want my energy to influence anyone's child. That is why when I did used to watch my niece and nephew, I didn't have any men coming over to my house. I didn't have any men calling me. When I used to watch my niece and nephew when they were younger, they're grown now practically. But when I used to watch my niece and nephew, I didn't have any men coming to my house. I didn't dress in no drag. They just knew me as their uncle, who gave them candy and cookies and ice cream and let them practically do what they want to do. Stay up all night, spoil them. That's what I did as an uncle. There's a time and a place for everything. And I think that is what we're really losing. That is what we're really losing. There's a time and a place for everything. That's what I'm saying too. But anyway, I think I've talked enough. If you have followed me throughout this entire video this long, you are a true gem. But anyway, that's all I have to say. You can like it, you can love it, you can hate it. It really doesn't matter. But does it make you think? That's what, does it make you think about things? Does it make you tap more into your spirit so your spirit can lead you and not your carnal flesh, not your emotions? Because there are things that I even had to take a look at as a gay person. And when heterosexual people say there's a gay agenda, I used to get very offended by that. But when I really sat back and I thought about it and I put it into my own interpretation, I said, I see what they're saying. I'm not going to let them use me. I'm putting this out into the universe. You will not use me being gay to promote your fucking agendas because some of us don't get down that way. Some of us don't get down that way. Some of us are not for influencing children. And some of us are not for trying to force people down, trying to force ourselves down other people's throats. If you don't want to be around me, if you don't like gay people, that's all well, fine, and good, but you will fucking respect me. You will not disrespect me. That is where the line is drawn. And that goes for men or motherfucking women. You will not disrespect me and you will not cross my boundaries. If you stay in your motherfucking lane, I will stay in mine. But the problem is that nobody wants to stay in their lane. Nobody wants to stay in their lane. Everybody else wants to be in somebody else's lane. That's the problem. Whether it's people telling people they should get vaccinated, or if it's people telling people that they shouldn't get vaccinated, whether it's people telling people that, oh, our love is better than this person's love, and you should love everybody. I don't love everybody. That is illogical. I don't love everybody. And everybody don't love me. So how can I love everybody? I don't love everybody. I give everybody a fair motherfucking chance. But when you prove to me that you are rotten, ain't shit motherfucker, your chances are up. And you only get one with me. You only get one. I don't do forgive and forget. What I will do is I will do strategic and calculated for enemies. But I don't do forgive and forget. You get one chance with me. One. Sometimes, depending on who you are, I may give you another one. Depending. But I don't do fucking nonsense. And I am not going to allow them to keep using my sexual orientation to promote these fucking agendas. I'm going to speak up about it. And I think more gay black men, especially, need to speak up about it. But then again, a lot of gay black men, they're for this shit, unfortunately, because they're looking at it from a position of power. But all power ain't good power. And sometimes power goes out. And when there's a blackout and everything is relit, you may find yourself no longer in power. So all of this stuff that they're doing in Congress and the government, it's not beneficial to your average gay person. These laws don't protect your average gay person. These are agenda-based, ritualized laws, even for the Interracial Marriage Act or part of it. Those are all for ritualized interracial marriages and relationships. That is what they're basically for. They're not for your average interracial people. There may be nuggets of benefits, crumbs of benefits. I'll leave room for that. There may be a small crumb of a benefit in that. But in actuality, that's to protect people in those institutions, in those cult institutions, which are now the new deities for them. That is what they're for. They're not for us. Anyway, gotta go.